Hello, good morning. Jesse McDougall, The Martial Arts of Money, December 23rd. Doing a book review today. Before You Quit Your Job by the Rich Dad Poor Dad series. This is by Robert T. Kiyosaki and Sharon Letcher, a CPA, who I am as well. I am a CPA. I read this book about 4 years ago, and I already quit my job when I read it, so that was kind of interesting. But I actually bought this book before I quit my job because when I had a corporate role, I was actually ramping up to make an informed leave within 2 years out of the corporate world to launch a healthy cooking business, and they're everywhere now. Like, they're all over the place. I was going to go full in brick and mortar company, but my career went another way. Got an opportunity that I couldn't say no to. Long story short, here I am. But anyways, I decided to read this book, and I'll just get right into it. I'm just going to read highlight notes. I don't remember a lot in here. Actually, one thing I do remember is this book stresses about having a good accountant on your team. And having a good accountant is often the difference between winning in business and losing in business, especially when you're a startup. It's so important. I'm obviously biased, but it kind of is what it is. People that don't know that, you just don't really know, or you don't see the angle that a lot of other business elite professionals see. I can't stress that enough, having a good accountant on your team. I call it like an eagle. I call myself an eagle with numbers, like having an ace in the hole, a defensive, offensive player. So accounting, for example, I won't go on too far on accounting rant, but accounting is typically a support system for business. I classify as a defenseman player on the hockey team. I myself would be an aggressive defenseman. I like to rush a lot, score goals. I'm not just trying to protect the net, so that's kind of cool. Anyways, accountant. It's important. One of the mistakes I've had, or one of the lessons I've learned in my business, is at the end of every day, it's a question of numbers. How much money to make? You'd be often surprised. Most business owners don't know that. They eyeball it and this and that, and that works and gets you far, but it also leads you into uncharted waters, and that's when risk starts to come up. Okay. If you want freedom, you need to let go of security. Okay, so he's talking about this is getting out of the workforce and into entrepreneurship or starting your own company. So this is 10 real life lessons every entrepreneur should know about building a multi-million-dollar business. And that's what you're here to do. Okay, so I'm just going to read notes I have here. Financially free, never needing a job again, was an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is an approach to management that we define as follows: the pursuit of opportunity without regard to resources currently controlled. Entrepreneurs are always looking for opportunity without much regard to whether they have resources. And I often say this, there's an abundance of money in the world. There's more than enough money. There's a surplus of money. There's a surplus of resources. So if you have a resource problem, and that's what I currently have, that's a good thing. What there's a lack of is competent entrepreneurs that are ethical, that can facilitate business opportunities. The venture capitalist firm, there's so many people with so much money that they're looking for someone to invest in. Someone like me, someone with whatever. It's just the way money works. They've made their money, they've made their run, they've put in their hard work, they've built their companies. Now they use their monies to fund other people's dreams and other people's companies, which in turn is their company, but they're the money and maybe an advisor role or a guidance role. They're not doing the work and sitting down and doing all that. That's not what they're doing. They often have a whole portfolio of different businesses, and so that's the level that I'm striving towards. Get back to the book. Look at an opportunity and ask, how can I afford it? He was an entrepreneur. Yeah, the Jim Rohn, great philosopher. I remember I was driving around Vancouver and I had about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago, and I had a convertible BMW. Was doing good. I was chartered accountant, had a controllership job. I was making okay money for society, and but I'm looking around at these houses and I'm like, how do you afford that? Like, I don't even know. That house is $1 million. It doesn't really look that good of a house, but how do you afford that? I don't know. And the fact that I didn't know how to answer that when I have the highest designation, the highest intelligence for money and numbers. So that was a red flag for me. I'm like, well, I got to switch something up here because something isn't working. And that kind of one of the ways I led down entrepreneurship. And I worked at a startup tech company, which is really cool. There's a lot of money being tossed around there, so I got to learn a lot. When you spend money, you learn a lot. We used other people's money and resources to grow the business. So when you work in the corporate world, you knowledge, experience, right? And then you apply it to the real world. That's what I'm doing. The entrepreneur didn't want to climb the corporate ladder. He or she wants to own the corporate ladder. An entrepreneur is not driven by a paycheck, but by results of the team. It's a totally different mentality. So this is a very good book to read, man, just because like you got to be aware before you get in. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, man, my one buddy said you got to be a gladiator. You got to be an absolute fighter. It is not easy. It's an emotional journey. How quick you get there, I really don't know. For many entrepreneurs, their values are more important than money. Okay? It's very important for me. Number one, my health. Number two, my freedom. And number three, then my career / financial incentives and all that. I've always been that way. And it took me a long time to realize that as an entrepreneur. I just didn't know. I didn't know that till I was 30. So am I dumb? I don't know. It's just my story. Know how to use other people's resources. Managing people they cannot tell what to do or fire. Red lights do not prevent an entrepreneur from being an entrepreneur. You don't see a problem, you see a solution. Entrepreneurs do not need to know all the answers. All they need to know is who to call. They must always be learning. I like that because part of my philosophy is health. Health is number one, and I believe if I'm growing, I'm living. And if I'm growing and living, I'm not dying. I don't know if there's science behind that. That's just what I believe, and that's how I'm living my life. No graduation day. Once I crossed the line from employee to entrepreneur, my real education began. Correct. Education as an entrepreneur will never have a graduation day. I will always be in school. Other words, when I was not at work, I was reading or studying and then applying what I learned to the business. Yeah, I like this stuff. It helps with this mindset. And this is good for like motivational stuff. I really enjoy doing these book reviews because I haven't read this book in 4 years, but there's just gold in here. Yeah, many quit out of exhaustion. Yep, it's a marathon, guys. Marathon. Life's a marathon, not a sprint. You can sprint. You can't sprint forever. Took our minds off the business and partied into the night. I'm not sure what that means. Success and money had blinded us. Oh, he's talking about being young entrepreneur. The new money. When you get like to entrepreneurship and you reach some success, it's kind of awesome. You get a lot of disposable cash. Sure, why not go party and have some fun? You work so hard, why not, right? And that's cool. You got to reward yourself, but it's called meals and entertainment. Set a budget, stick to your budget, discipline. Don't go overboard. One of the primary reasons for high failure rate of small businesses is sheer exhaustion. It's tough to make money and to keep going when so much of your time is tied up in activities that do not make you any money or that cost you money without offsetting income. I'm so busy taking care of my business, I don't have time to make money. These are important things you need to consider before you go into entrepreneurship. You need to read this book if you're in entrepreneurship. It's really important. Rich Dad Poor Dad series. Yeah, this is a very important book. The job of an entrepreneur. The job of an entrepreneur is to design a business that can grow, employ many people, add value to its customers, be a responsible corporate citizen, bring prosperity to all those that work on the business, be charitable, and eventually no longer need the entrepreneur. A successful entrepreneur is designing this type of business in his or her mind or eye. This is the job of a true entrepreneur. Oh, this is I like this because this is exactly what I'm doing right now, and I'm just loving what I'm doing right now, and there's a lot of money involved in what I'm doing. Losers quit when they fail. Winners fail until they succeed. That's so cool. That's so cool. It is scary though, because when you're spending money and money's not coming in, and you got payments to pay, like what do? That brings out the fight in you. The lack of trust often keeps them small, since it's hard to grow a business without eventually trusting other people. He or she will not typically get the higher multiples a true B quadrant becomes business can command. He's talking about, if you know the cash flow quadrant, employee, self-employed, business owner, investor. So a lot of people think they own a business, but they're really just self-employed. In my opinion, yeah, you don't own a business if you are the bottleneck. You are doing all the work. You are generating all the revenue. You are doing all the purchasing. That's called being self-employed. A business is when you're a business owner, when it's not that other people do all the work. You organize, you manage the business, and managing the business and people skills. That's where the value is. That's harder to do than doing a job. That's what the marketplace says. That's why business owners get paid more. Yeah, it makes no sense to work hard and not build an asset. So correct. So correct. Franchises. If you do not want to follow the directions of a franchisor to a T, it's best you design, create, and start your own business. Creative entrepreneurs. The riskiest of all type entrepreneur is the creative entrepreneur, also known as an innovator. That's the thing. You don't need to innovate. You don't need to be this next Steve Jobs. There's millions and millions of revenue streams that exist, that are out there, that you can just go do. Like, find out what you're good at, and find out what you like, or find out what you like, find out what you're good at, and then go do that. We both played the same game, but we were not playing at the same level of play. At what level of play do you want to play the game? See, that's the key. That's the key where they start talking about benchmarks. What level do you want to play at? For me, I want to be at the elite level, where we're doing, like, multi-million-dollar deals, raising money, and you're going in there and you're focusing on the mind diplomacy, or the art of war stuff starts to come in. That's the level that I want to play at. That's fun. It's just fun. It's a game. It's a game. Okay. Failing is part of the process of my business successes. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this whole failure thing. I mean, just don't even focus on failure. Just focus on results and do the math. Every decision you make that involves spending money, write it down. Like, just sit down. How much money is going to cost to do this, and what do you think I can do? And do a little test. If for internet marketing example, it's kind of easy. You can find something that works, and then you just scale it. You don't need to throw tons of cash down at the table. Scaling does get kind of very challenging, but that's where the experience comes in. One of the great joys of being an entrepreneur is the ability to take an idea and turn that idea into a successful business in a short period of time. An entrepreneur's job is to turn an idea into gold, and that's what excites me. Taking an idea, and I'm not talking just about business. That's why the martial arts of money, entrepreneurship, your passions, that it all goes together. For me, entrepreneurship is just one of my passions. Martial arts is one of my passions. So those are my two biggest things in my life that have been with me for forever, and they'll stay with me forever. It's just who I am. So you got to find out what you like and all that kind of stuff. I constantly put myself in situations where I am beyond my skills. I am always on edge, always tentative, always testing myself. That is the way I continually get better. And that's correct. I often said this to my friend yesterday on the phone. I'm like, if you ever stand on the edge of a cliff and you feel like anxiety go through you, that feeling is anxiety. A lot of people think that's fear, but change that into excitement. You're growing. Your body and your energy doesn't know what's going on, so you're growing. I have to cut this short. The maid is here vacuuming, interrupting my book review. I really enjoyed this book. Definitely a 5 out of 5. This is like an absolute must. Anyways, for experienced people, experienced business owners, and people just coming out of university or whatever. Anyways, take care. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Keep the questions coming. Thanks, guys. Take care. And Merry Christmas. Bye.